for engaging me in the service of His Holiness Candramauli Swami. I hope that my service will be some pleasing to Maharaj, and thank you for allowing me to serve all of you as disciples of His Holiness Candramauli Swami. Today we will be starting Canto 1, Chapter 9, verse 20, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, verse 20, and the chapter is entitled The Passing of Bhishma Dev and the Presence of Lord Krishna. The class will be given by His Holiness Candramauli Swami. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to you, Maharaj. Maharaj, you're on mute, Maharaj. I apologize.
Haribol.
Haribol, Maharaj. Accept my obeisances. All goes to you and Prabhupada.
Haribol, thank you. Nice to see you. My obeisances to you. You have brought a brighter sunlight into my room, and now I can't see anything. It's just so bright.
Only by your mercy, Maharaj. Only by your mercy.
No, by your mercy. Okay, thank you for being here. I'll begin.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, this is the passing away of Grandfather Bhishma Dev, verse 20 in chapter number 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yam manasyat matuleyam priyam mitram surittamam akrodas sachivam dutam saradam atasaratim. Translation: O King, that personality whom, out of ignorance only, you thought to be your maternal cousin, your very dear friend, well-wisher, counselor, messenger, benefactor, etc., is that very personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Lord Sri Krishna, though acting as a cousin, brother, friend, well-wisher, counsel, member, benefactor, etc., of the Pandavas, was still the supreme personality of Godhead. Out of his causeless mercy and favor upon his unalloyed devotees, he performs all kinds of service, but that doesn't mean that he has changed his position as the absolute person. To think him as an ordinary man is the grossest type of ignorance. Om Gyantamidandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Staplitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padatikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Kristaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Satarine Vanchakalpatarubhisya Kripa Sindhupe Vacha Patitaram Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in two different places, he says, Avajanti Mamudha, Manasintanamaspatam, Param Brahma Majananto, Mama Bhuta Maheshwara. He says, fools deride me when I descend in this human form. They do not know my supreme nature, my transcendental nature, and my supreme position over all that exists. So Krishna speaks very strongly about those who see him as one of the members of the human race, or even a great personality, or even the best of the humans, he doesn't fit into any of those categories. And therefore, persons who have a poor fund of knowledge see the Lord as simply a person in this material world playing different roles. In another place, he says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samangritaha mudoyo devajanati lokamam ajam avyayam. Fools deride me, because I'm covered with my curtain of Maya, and thus the deluded world knows me not, who is original and inexhaustible. So Krishna wants to make the point that when he comes to the material world, he remains who he is. He doesn't take on a material body, nor does he pick up any of the characteristics of the materialistic persons. He keeps his transcendental position, but in many cases he appears to or act like an ordinary person, and he sees he plays different roles. He's a cousin. In other words, he appears in a certain family, so he has a mother, a father, friends, relatives, cousins, and all family members, like everyone else. He is a counselor, benefactor, so many different categories that the Lord falls into. But Bhishma Dev wants to make it clear to Yudhisthira that you don't know how fortunate you are. You have the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is acting simply as a menial servant to you and to your brothers. Now, Yudhisthira is somewhat aware of that, but at times he somehow becomes covered and forgets that and starts thinking that Krishna is just like everyone else. Prabhupada said, and he has mentioned it in his lectures, and I think he also in his book, that although Krishna came in contact with, when you say countless people, when he was during his incarnation as Krishna 5,000 years ago, and not countless, but I guess you could say countless in the sense that there were hundreds of millions of people who came in contact with him. But Prabhupada said only between 100 and 200 actually understood his real position. And so it's not easy to understand the Lord. Even if you see the Lord directly, you may not understand who he is or what is his nature. So therefore, only Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, only by devotional service can I be known as I am. And he speaks to Arjuna and he says, I'm standing before you, and thus you can see me directly. So if we want to know Krishna, or we want to have a relationship with Krishna, it's only by devotional service. And when that devotional service becomes pure, then Krishna reveals himself in the life of his devotee. And then the devotee becomes happy because Krishna is there. Although Krishna may not be physically manifested like he was 5,000 years ago with so many persons who he played different roles with. And you can see the Lord in any of his incarnation, especially in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even in Lord Ram, but we find it also in Lord Krishna that he always acts in a mood of servant. He's driving the chariot for Arjuna. He's arranging for the Rajasuya sacrifice by becoming a person who greets all the guests when they come. He is more or less the guest master. He washes the feet of the great sages. He welcomes others according to their position. He plays a very simple and menial role many times. He's both teaching, but it's more than just teaching. He actually enjoys playing these roles. It's interesting to note that the Supreme Lord, who was the person who was worshipped by everyone, the verse goes on to say, Ekala Isha Krishna Asa Brita, that there is only one worshipful personality. That is the Supreme Lord. Everyone else is a servant. But still, he likes to play the role of a servant and serve his devotee, because for him, his devotee is very special. He considers his devotee more important than himself, and will do many kinds of services in order to please his devotee, or to assist his devotee in serving him. So this is Krishna. And as Prabhupada says, and to have that association as King Yudhisthira is like amazing to think about it, to be able to associate with Krishna. But you might understand that, or you might think that if you were aware that Krishna was the Supreme Lord and he was doing service for you, you would also feel awkward and maybe a little bit unhappy that the Supreme Lord has become and is in the mood of a servant. And therefore you would try to do something to serve him also. But that's Krishna, that's his nature. And it says here, Prabhupada uses the word causeless mercy. He gives mercy without causeless mercy actually means that mercy that comes without any apparent reason. Many times we do something, or we do any kind of service, so we chant the holy names, or we perform some activity in devotional service, and we can feel the mercy coming by way of the efforts we made in our devotional activity. But then there is times where the Lord will automatically bestow some special mercy upon a person. He'll give them knowledge, he'll give them detachment, he'll give them a situation where they've been trying for a long time to accomplish, and all of a sudden he makes it happen. This is Krishna. He likes to serve his devotee, and to become Krishna's devotee is not a small thing. It's like to be the servant of the king, they say, is just as good as being the king itself, because the servant of the king also gets much respect, honor, and many various types of benefits just because he is servant of the king. So in the same way, anyone becomes servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we receive some of the mercy in the form of the Lord's direct intervention in the life of that devotee. And many times they take on the qualities of the Lord himself. So in associating with the Lord through service, one develops the qualities of the mode of goodness and then ultimately transcendence. So many of these qualities are Krishna's qualities himself, and he manifested these qualities in the hearts and minds and the lives of his devotee as he sees the devotee making nice advancement or serving in a very nice way. So Krishna may have many hats, and he does, but he still remains his position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he had to kill Kamsa, his maternal uncle, still, and yet at the same time, he is lamenting being away from his devotees in Sri Vrindavan Dham. He's also showing emotional feelings, just like anyone else, from separation from someone who they love. And Krishna exhibited that also when he was here. When he had to go to Mathura to kill Kamsa, he had to leave Vrindavan. And then after he killed Kamsa, he wanted to come back to Vrindavan, but the residents of Mathura would not allow him to go and gave him so many reasons why he should stay. So he was caught. He wanted to go back, and especially Mother Yasoda and the gopis were praying, crying for Krishna to return. And at the same time, the residents of Mathura were giving reasons why he has to stay. And both were pulling him in different directions. And Krishna was thinking what to do. Of course, we also know from the spiritual perspective that he never leaves the hearts of his devotees. So in that sense, he's with his devotees all the time. He remains strong in their hearts. But in this particular pastime, he was in Mathura and he wanted to go to Vrindavan, but wasn't able to. Therefore, we see that he's acting like an ordinary person, but he is not ordinary. He's showing his love for his devotee. So to become a devotee of the Lord is not a small thing. Sometimes we take it for granted, oh, I'm a devotee. Well, that's nice, but actually it's a very elevated position because one gets to associate with and to serve the greatest of all personalities, the Supreme Lord himself, who is the source of all existence, the goal of all activities, and the reservoir of all transcendental pleasure. And so when we study the life of Krishna, we'll see how he interacts with his devotees. And these are examples that we can also take lessons from, that if we develop the qualities of many of his associates, we will also be able to have the same chance to associate with the Lord in loving devotional service. Sometimes devotees think that the scriptures are something of the past and now the present is different. No, actually, the present and the past is a reflection of what can happen in the future or in our own present time, because they are teaching us through the lives of other great souls what we can also experience in our loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna is controlled by bhakti, by love. It says there are three elements. There's Bhagavan, there is bhakti, and there is bhakta. The devotee is bhakta, the Lord is Bhagavan, and bhakti is the process. Bhakti, out of the three, bhakti remains the most effective, because only by bhakti can Bhagavan be captured by bhakta. So bhakti remains strong because it can attract Krishna to his devotee, and then the Lord actually becomes the servant of his devotee. Okay, these are some. We can go on to the next verse and continue on here. This is number 21. Sarvatmanam samodrishyam yadva vayasya yanahan kritahe tat kritam mati vaisamyam niravasyasya na kvachit. Being the absolute personality of Godhead, he is present in everyone's heart. He's equally kind to everyone, and he is free from the false ego of differentiation. Therefore, whatever he does is free from material inebriety. He is equibalance. Purport. Because he is absolute, there is nothing different from him. He is Kaivalya. There is nothing except himself. Kaivalya means one. Everything and everyone is the manifestation of his energy, and thus he is present everywhere by his energy being none different from him. The sun is identified with every inch of the sun's rays, and each molecular particle of the sun, of the rays. Similarly, the Lord is distributed by his different energies. He is Paramatma, or the super soul, present in everyone, as the supreme guidance, and therefore he is already the chariot driver and counsel of all living beings. When he therefore exhibits himself as the chariot driver of Arjuna, there is no change in his exalted position. It is the power of devotional service only that demonstrates him as the chariot driver or the messenger. Since he has nothing to do with material conception of life because he is absolute spiritual identity, there is for him no superior or inferior action. Being the absolute personality of Godhead, he has no false ego, and he does not identify himself with anything different from him. The material conception of ego is equibalanced in him. He does not feel, therefore, inferior by becoming the chariot driver of his pure devotee. It is the glory of the pure devotee that only he can bring about the service from the affectionate Lord. After describing all of the characteristics and activities and qualities of the Lord, Prabhupada ends the statement, it is by the glory of the devotee that he can bring about service from the affectionate Lord. So the glory of the devotee, in other words, the pure devotees, the great devotees attract the Lord in such a way that the Lord personally engages in service to them. And as we mentioned in the previous verse, how he does that in different ways. In his different incarnations, he's always playing the role of both the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepting service, but he's also performing service to his devotees. And that is glorious, as Prabhupada said, the glory of the pure devotee. Okay, so we get a little insight of the nature of the diverse character of the Supreme Lord, who likes to serve more than anything. Any questions? Comments?
Thank you, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class and really, really amazing points. I know 2, 3 are coming up in my mind, but I would like to open up to the devotees and actually see if devotees have any questions, any comments, clarification. Please do raise your hand, and so that we can call everybody in order. And if you could please turn your screens on, that way Maharaj can see us and we can see Maharaj and have his direct darshan. Yes, Radha Vinodini, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to you. Thank you very much for the class. And you mentioned that it's a big thing to be a devotee. And I was wondering what it means actually to be a devotee, because, for example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that anyone who just calls out Krishna's name even once is a devotee. But sometimes we also hear about the qualifications of devotees, and which are quite high level.
So the question is, what does it mean to be a devotee?
Who is considered to be a devotee? I would say
one who is favored by the spiritual master, by the one who is favored by the Lord through the grace of his representative, the spiritual master. So the spiritual master, his business is to canvass on behalf of the Lord and bring the conditioned souls to the Lord. If one is intelligent to understand the position of the spiritual master and how fortunate they are to meet a spiritual master, then if they take advantage of that by engaging in devotional service and learning the knowledge that's needed, then that qualifies them to receive the position of becoming a devotee. But it's all by mercy. It's cool. Mercy means that just like you'll see that when it rains everywhere. It rains on the rocks, it rains on the oceans where there's no need for rain. But it also rains on the vegetation where there is need. So in the same way, the mercy of the Lord comes through the spiritual master and is available for everyone. but only those who are fortunate enough will take it. Others will be able to be in the same position and for some reason will not be able to take it or understand it. So then the question comes, well, what differentiates one person from another? And that is, we can't really say because it's never seen in terms of something very clear or overt, but you might say that is their good fortune. Well, some people will say, well, due to pious activities in previous lives, then that person will be more inclined to take. But we see there's many pious people who don't take. And there's many pious people who come, and then after some time, they no longer continue to come. So there is an element of good fortune that is awakened. That's why in the Shastakritic prayers, it says that Shreya Kaiva Vichandrika Vitananam, that one's good fortune comes simply by the grace of the Lord. And when that good fortune comes, one becomes very aware of the need. And then one takes it. So it's really hard to determine what makes one fortunate and what makes one, although in a fortunate position, cannot become fortunate. But there is something there, and that is that sometimes people will come in contact with a great soul, spiritual master, but will not be able to understand or even accept it. But after some time, maybe a few years later, when things change in their own life, you might see it. Okay.
Yes, actually, you answered even more than I asked. So thank you so much. It's just the question came that what can I do to be fortunate?
Well, if someone wants to give you something that's valuable and you take it, then you're fortunate. If you don't take it, then although it's still valuable, the value is still there. You can't benefit from it. Mm-hmm. You see, there are many devotees. Some will take it, some will take more, some will take everything, and some will take hardly anything.
Yeah, that's really true.
And some will come and even associate, but still can't take anything.
Mm-hmm.
You might say it's because of their previous material entanglement, but that's only part of it. Because we see, Jagai, people who are really sinful sometimes become very great devotees.
Yeah, that's also true. Mm-hmm.
That's why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur brings that subject matter up in the Madhurya Candramauli, and he discusses it. I'd suggest if you really want a detailed discussion on this point, read Madhurya Candramauli. I think it's verse number 2. Mm-hmm. It's short, it's easy to read. It's a book that you could read in one sitting because it's only got about 50 pages in it. But,
okay.
But it's very powerful at the same time.
Thank you. Yeah, it just gave me the inspiration that maybe today I will search for it. And
it's one of the most important books coming from the Acharyas. It's the science of bhakti in the most succinct way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I heard about it so much. It's just somehow I didn't read it till now.
Yeah, it means Madhurya, Kandambini, I think means rainfall. The shower of mercy.
Oh, it's beautiful, really. And just could you also clarify one thing, because you mentioned what it means to be a devotee, but for example, this definition that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that whoever chants Krishna's name even once is considered to be a devotee. So how can we understand this statement then?
Yeah, Mahaprabhu makes it sound like it's quite natural.
Mhm.
But then again, you might say one who chants his name purely once.
Oh.
You could add that to it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a much greater qualification.
That's a point of discussion also.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. That was a very nice question. Actually, you asked a question that I had. So thank you for asking the question. It's very helpful. Thank you. Devananda Pandit Prabhu, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, dear Gurudeva, all glories to the assembled devotees. My question is, in the last verse you read, Krishna is mentioned that Krishna is equally kind for everyone. Krishna is equally kind for everyone. Why do we often separate our kindness between so-called devotees and non-devotees, when Krishna is kind for everyone, equally kind?
Yeah. So that means we're still on a material platform. If we're still on the material platform, then we have the tendency to define kindness in a certain way, or we have a tendency to marginalize. But every soul or every living being is part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, from the point of view of Krishna, everyone is equally qualified to receive his mercy. Even the non-devotees, even the demons. Man, so, but for devotees are kind generally because they preach, they distribute prasadam, they distribute books, they go out and find different ways to bring people in. So that's Krishna's kindness being manifested like that. But when every devotee does it, then you might say it'll be, and the whole world will change. But there are devotees who are doing that. So there are many devotees who are trying to reflect Krishna's kindness in the form of reaching out to others with this message or with something that will benefit them. So the idea is to see all living entities as part and parcel of Krishna, and to treat everyone according to how best they can receive the mercy. For some, we give prasadam. For some, we invite to the temple. There's different ways of showing kindness. But if we're unkind, that means just like Anasuya, go to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse number, it's a series of verses 8 through 12. It's 5 verses in one. And in the purport, Prabhupada talks about nonviolence. We get to the point of nonviolence, he speaks. Go down, it's very long here. Here it goes, nonviolence. So we can, would you like to read that, Anasuya?
Yes, Marge. Non-violence is generally taken to mean not killing or destroying the body, but actually non-violence means not to put others into distress. People in general are trapped by ignorance in the material concept of life, and they perpetually suffer material pains. So unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge to the people so that they become enlightened and leave this material entanglement. That is nonviolence.
So unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. That means seeing one suffering and not trying to do anything to relieve their suffering. That's what it means. Okay, so does that help?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. That was a very nice question, Prabhu. Very
Thank
nice. Namrata Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories at your lotus feet, and all glories to the assembled devotees. Guru Maharaj, my question is regarding attachment and detachment. So attachment and detachment is a duality on the material platform. And but when it comes to spiritual platform, how can we think of when we think of Krishna, how can we think of detachment with him? So how do we understand that on spiritual?
Okay. Let me see here. I just let me go to a particular. Wait a minute. I got two computers going here at the same time.
Modern technology, Maharaj. It's
Oh.
crazy.
My new computer doesn't communicate to the Zoom calls, so I use the old one for the Zoom calls, the new one for all the information. So, let me go back to the old one or the new one to get your answer to your question here, because I just was reading that today, so I'll give you some answer. So can you rephrase your question or repeat your question?
Okay, Guru Maharaj. So my question was, attachment and detachment is a duality on material platform, but when it comes to spiritual platform, how can we think of getting detached from Krishna?
How can we be detached from Krishna?
Yeah. So, like, how can it be? I mean, if it is one, then on spiritual platform, how do we understand that?
Here, Prabhupada says, negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of the non-essentials does not mean the negation of the essential. Similarly, detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive forms. The bhakti cult is meant for realization of the positive forms. When the positive form is realized, the negative forms are automatically eliminated. That's from the Bhagavatam 127. So negate the when you focus on the positive, you negate the negative, or you eliminate the negative. So as we become detached from material forms, we become attached to Krishna. You can't be just detached. You have to be attached to something. Here, another one, detachment. When you understand that this is good, this is bad, naturally you have detachment for the bad. Unless you know this is good, this is bad, how can there be detachment? Therefore, knowledge is first required for detachment. Unless you have knowledge, artificial detachment will not work. So we're not detached from Krishna, we're attached to Krishna. We're attached for things that are not connected with Krishna. Here another one. This Krishna conscious process is simultaneously detachment from matter and attachment for Krishna. It is so nice, a nice system. The proportionally we increase our love for Krishna and we decrease our love for matter. So detachment from matter is automatically done as you increase your attachment for Krishna. So, yeah, if you can't be attached to Krishna and attached to matter at the same time, it's not possible. You have to, as your detachment from Krishna, as your detachment from matter increases, you have to bring that attachment previously from matter to Krishna. And as you get attached to Krishna, you become Krishna conscious. Here, Karmi is attached and detached for his own purpose. The Bhakta is attached and detached for Krishna's purpose. I think this is where your answer is. So we can be attached for Krishna's purpose, and we can be detached for Krishna's purpose. In other words, Krishna wants us to do something, we consider it, and then we'll do it. But if Krishna doesn't want us to do something, and we want to do it, we detach ourselves from our own idea because it's not for Krishna. Krishna has no attachment or detachment. There are two kinds of principles, attachment and detachment. So this material attachment and detachment one should give up. He should surrender to Krishna. That is the bhakti principle. Does that any of that resonate with you?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. I think what I am trying to understand here is when it comes to Krishna, there is no attachment or detachment. There's just surrender.
Well, that's attachment.
Okay.
That's attachment to Krishna.
And another thing that is giving me a thought is if we are detaching from the matter, and is it necessary then that if we are detaching from the matter, we'll get attached to Krishna because
No. There are people who detach themselves from matter and they remain in a very, awkward situation. Gyanis are like that. Mayavadis are also like that. Because they don't have attachment to Krishna, they temporarily detach themselves from matter, but because there's no attachment on a higher level, they again fall back to becoming attached on the lower level. No, that's one of the features of the false ego. The hippies were an example of that. They wanted to give up family connections. They wanted to give up all of their responsibilities in the world. And they just wanted to live a life of bohemian, just living anywhere and everywhere. But there was no higher attachment. And therefore, you see everything folded, and people went back to their old attachments again. So when you give up your lower attachments, you have to start attaching yourself to something better. In this case, Krishna or devotional service. You can't remain detached in a state of detachment. It's not possible. If I tell you to do nothing, you'll be confused, right? Don't do nothing. Just do nothing. What would you think if someone told you just do nothing?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I think I can understand this now. The Mayavadis or impersonalist, I saw an interview in which a person was interviewed, and he was asked that who are you? So he says, I'm the slave of Shiva. So the person again said, who is Shiva? And he's saying nothingness. So the interviewer said, so basically you are the slave of nothingness. So that was the hitting point for me, that making me, that I can remember right now.
Yeah, it has no meaning. And then that person, even if they initially give up something, they'll go back to something else material.
Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I think the higher, if you are getting detached from the matter, then the higher support or the proper direction for the support is very important.
Yeah, there are so many people who just want to detach themselves because they suffer. People suffer from material life and they want to get out of it, but they don't make a attachment to something better. They just go back to the same old thing in a different form. That's all. The only way you have to get attached to Krishna or something spiritual, otherwise you remain attached.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Guru Maharaj. It clarifies. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Uh,
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Anasuya Mataji has to leave, so I'm taking over. Thank you. So
thank you, Anasuya. Hare Krishna.
Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, we understand that bhakti is the highest because it attaches us directly to Krishna. But what about people who say, we are doing pious activities, we are doing everything religious principles properly, we are on the track of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. What are they attached to and how will they attain that moksha that they are wanting?
Attached to their own ideas, that's all. You have to follow authority. What authority are they following? You create your own authority and then you want to follow that and you say, well, I'm attached to something higher. That means you're just attached to the same thing in a different form, that's all.
So they will neither attain moksha nor will they attain their goals because it's all mental speculation, right?
Yeah, it's on a mental plan. Manodharma. It's called manodharma. Taking shelter of the mind, that's all.
So even if one wants to attain moksha, one must follow some authority and one must follow some religious principle, one must follow some scripture to attain even that goal of moksha. Is that right?
We're not interested in moksha.
Okay.
We're interested in bhakti. Moksha
Right.
follows, Vilvamanga Thakur says, ever since I've been engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, bhukti and mukti, bhukti means material happiness and mukti means liberation. They're standing at my door with folded hands saying, how can I serve you? So that comes automatically with bhakti. You don't have to try for anything separate. Even if you do and you get it, you deprive yourself of the real goal.
Right. Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Revati Mataji, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the very nice class. So, Guru Maharaj, not a question, just would like to understand what it means in the purport, verse 21. You have read like the material conception of ego is equibalanced in him. And also in the translation, Prabhupada says like he's free from the false ego of differentiation. So could you please a little bit explain what it means?
Let me see the verse again.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I'm sharing.
It's in the translation.
Yeah, in the translation and also in the
Free
purport.
from the false ego of differentiation. The false ego is one of the symptoms of the false ego is differentiation. So he's free from that characteristic. Therefore, whatever he does is perfect, doesn't have any material inebriety or material downside. He is equal balanced. These are some of the characteristics of the Supreme Lord. And it refers to the verse itself. He's present in everyone's heart, and he's equal to everyone. And one with a false ego cannot be equal to everyone. And he doesn't have that false ego.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. Yeah. So yeah, there is no false ego. So that means there's no false ego. Like
He's equal to everyone.
equal to everyone. Okay.
We make distinctions based on the body. So we treat one person in one way, treat another person another way, based on our bodily relationships. But he doesn't have that conception of body. He sees the person for who he is, a pure soul. Therefore, he's kind to everyone, treats everyone according to how best that they can come to him. In other words, how best they can make advancement. Someone might treat us in a certain way, and then we reciprocate accordingly. But with Krishna, he'll always treat them what is best for their advancement in spiritual practice, or what will be beneficial for them to understand, so they can move forward in spiritual life. Both are the same.
Okay.
His love is pure, it's equal, it's without discrimination. He loves the demons just as much as he loves the devotees, but he shows his love according to how we approach him. As you approach me, I reward you accordingly. But so the word reward is there. So he's rewarding everyone, but according to how they approach. So everyone's getting a reward when they come in contact with Krishna.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. And also just a follow up, like in devotional service also, like when it comes to attachment to the material body. So just to understand, to make sure like we are progressing. So when we are getting disturbed by the modes, means we are still attached to the material body. So when we are not getting disturbed, that means we are progressing. Pretty much we should understand that way.
It depends. If the disturbances are gradually becoming less and less, that means you're making an advancement. And when the disturbances are stopped completely, then you're on the spiritual platform.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean if there's some disturbance yet, you're not making advancement, because disturbances are so numerous. Adhyatmic, adhibautic, adhidaivic. body and mind, other living entities, higher powers. These are all disturbances. So they'll be there, and they also cause disturbance even for great souls, but great souls don't give them any importance, that's all.
Okay. Okay, Guru. So that's how we can know that we are progressing. Yeah, if we are getting less disturbed, means like, okay, we are making a progress.
How much you're able to tolerate all of these disturbances and go on with your devotional service.
Okay.
Yeah, as the disturbances come, does that affect your devotional service? Does it make you lose your enthusiasm of devotional service, or put a lot of attention on trying to relieve the effects of the disturbances? Stay fixed in your Krishna consciousness, that's all.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Yes, and very true. I can see that in myself, like it's still like, I don't react to the things previously how I used to react. I get disturbed, but it doesn't stay long time. Like again, in 1 or few days, I try to get back to normal state. Yeah, I can see definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually all these disturbances will stop. That's mentioned in the Shastras.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice
Thank you.
question.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Namrata Mataji, you want to go ahead?
Hare Krishna, do we have time for one more question, Guru Maharaj? Is it fine?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Okay. So my question was regarding a sacrifice. We have seen in Srimad Bhagavatam in the story of Jadavrat.
Mataji, can you be a little louder? Some disturbance is coming on your side.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, Mataji, but a little, yeah, you can start, Mataji, again.
Okay. So my question is regarding sacrifice. In the story of Jadavrat, we have seen that the dacoits were doing a human sacrifice. And I think in another, there is one more story of a human sacrifice. So I was just trying to think then that when the lower species were given sacrifice, they were supposed to be elevated to a higher destination. So what is the purpose of a human sacrifice?
Why do you ask that question? Well, you know somebody who's going to be put to human sacrifice, so you want to make sure they get elevated?
I don't think in this age it is possible as far as the government laws are concerned.
The human sacrifice is going on every day. People are getting killed by, going to work. It's human sacrifice to go to work. Human sacrifice to go to the doctors. You don't know if you'll come out of the hospital or not. So many human sacrifices are going on.
I don't
true.
know, but I was just
Yeah.
that what human life is for a purpose to reach the ultimate goal. Then what more elevation can be there for human for sacrificing?
Most of it is the stuff that's done in the Shastras, sacrificing to these different deities like Chandi and Bhadrakali and some of these ferocious deities. But just like, when they do these sacrifices, it's not recommended in the Shastra. It's not. It's just, it's tantra. It's for people who looking for some. This is the mode of ignorance. That's all it is. When they wanted to do that to Judd Bart, the deity came out and killed all the dacoits. Yeah. So the deity didn't accept their sacrifice and turned it around and killed all of them. All the witches came out and started killing the dacoits and drinking their blood. Yeah. So many of the deities that are posed for these types of sacrifice have demoniac followers. And because these demoniac followers worship these deities, when people do puja to the deities or sacrifice to the deities, it's to benefit the demoniac followers, not the deity itself.
Okay. So it's the mode of ignorance. I think I heard it in the story of Jarasandh also. Jarasandh was going to sacrifice
He was Kali Bhairava. There's many deities that are, but it's not the deity who is benefiting, because people worship those deities who are in the mode of ignorance. They're the ones that get the results of the sacrifice, not the deity. The deity is simply worshipped by these persons. It's like we saw that Lord Shiva fought against Krishna because Shiva was worshipped by Banasura. Banasura was a devotee of Shiva, and when Krishna was fighting with Banasura, he needed help, and Shiva came because Banasura was his devotee. So he was protecting his devotee. Well, of course, Krishna chastised him, saying, "Why are you fighting against me for?" Then Shiva woke up, got to his senses. Anyway, we have Vrikrasura was cutting off flesh and throwing it into the fire in order to get the benefit of a benediction from Lord Shiva. And he performed the sacrifice so successfully, Shiva appeared to him. Said, "Rascal, what do you want?" And he said, I want the benediction that anybody's head I touch will crack. And so demigods are somewhat obliged to fulfill the desires of people who worship them. So Shiva also accepts worship from people in the mode of ignorance, just like Durga Devi does and some of the other deities. But then they go out, they get some power, and they cause harm to other people. So even Brahma gave a benediction to Hiranyakashipu, and then Hiranyakashipu became powerful, started harassing everyone, and Krishna actually chastised him for giving that benediction. But the demigods are in the position to be worshipped by, materialistic people for material benefits. Just like the demons, even today, they worship Shiva. But they worship a very fierce form of Shiva, who is Rudra. So, and when they worship Rudra, they become also very powerful. And therefore, sometimes we wonder why the demons are so powerful in the world. Many demons do worship of different deities, and they become powerful. That's the position of the devas.
So Guru Maharaj, in India, there is a lot of demigod worship, and if we come across worshipping a demigod, so we should ask for bhakti for the same to the same demigod, or we should negate the worship totally.
Well, we should ask for bhakti. Because it says those who worship Shiva for bhakti, Shiva will bring them to Krishna or to Ram. Yeah, the demigods can also help us in our bhakti. It's not that we worship the demigods, but we can also pray to the demigods for giving us the mercy so we can become more effective to worship Krishna. Prabhupada said, anybody who can help you in your devotional service, we can accept that, especially the demigods. We don't worship the demigods. We may also pray to the demigods. My dear Lord Shiva, please give me Krishna Bhakti. And that's brought out in the Bhagavad Gita, where it says the word is bhajate. Bhajate means for Krishna only. So worship is only for Krishna, that's all.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you, that clarifies.
Yeah, so people worship the demigods for material benedictions, but they're considered to be less intelligent. Devotees just engage in devotional service, and with Krishna will supply everything we need to live. Don't worry. You don't have to worship separately. And Krishna will provide, and if he doesn't provide, that means he didn't need it. Or if he didn't provide right away, it means that he also may provide in the future. We're not interested in getting something from Krishna. We're interested in serving Krishna, that's all. And whatever he gives, then we can use in his service, and we can also live based on what he provides. But Krishna always takes care of his devotee. Don't worry about that. You don't have to worry about.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. That's the last statement was a relief. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Susanna Mataji. Guru Maharaj, is it okay if we take more questions?
Looks like we got a whole list of questions there. Okay.
Even I have a question, Guru Maharaj, but I'll wait. Susanna Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and you and all the devotees here. Actually, my question was just not asked. Okay, it was perfectly answered by you now, so I can give away my time to others. So I was just wanted to ask how to preach to those who worship Tandava form of Shiva in the office, because there are a lot of people doing that, and I think you perfectly answered.
Yeah, just tell them to worship Shiva as the Supreme Lord.
Right.
If they worship Shiva as the Supreme Lord, then they'll get mercy. If they worship Shiva as a demigod, and he accepts both, then they'll be getting material benedictions.
Yeah, see.
Yeah. If they worship him as the Supreme Lord, then he will gradually bring them to Krishna.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Sridevi Mataji, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. Guru Maharaj, in the face of all these different things, we have been fortunate to have been given the path of pure bhakti. So how can we remain chaste and become pure devotees, not getting distracted by all these other things?
Why are you getting distracted?
Maybe some material attachments that are still there.
Okay, work on them. Keep your focus on Krishna. Keep your focus on devotional service. The activities of devotional service are variegated, so you can always keep yourself connected in different ways to devotional service.
Yes, because one material thing leads to another, to another, to another. It never ends.
The reason why is because you're not busy enough in devotional service. The idle mind will go here and there. That's it. Stay busy.
Guru Maharaj.
Stay busy in
Guru
devotional service. When you finish one thing, when you finish one service, you should be thinking, you already know what you're going to do next.
Right, right. Yes, Guru Maharaj. I want to get to this point and not sit around like this.
Can't think of anything to do. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And you can fill the whole day up with that. Yeah.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
The mind has to be engaged.
Thank you.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Can't wait to see you in Mayapur, Guru Maharaj, to straighten us all out. Me out, at least.
Susanna Mataji, you want to ask your question?
Thank you very much, Srimati Mataji. Sorry, Guru Maharaj, I just want to ask that these people worshipping Lord Shiva as Lord Krishna, can they offer water, flowers, and so on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's nice.
Thank you very much, because I have kind of distant friends who do that, and yeah, it's nice. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you.
Guru Maharaj, I have a question, Guru Maharaj. So I just want to clarify with you, like with Krishna's causeless mercy, we come into Krishna consciousness, or due to our free will, Guru Maharaj?
It's basically causes mercy, but there's something that happened in the past that allows that causes mercy to manifest. It's causes because you can't see the cause, that's all.
Okay.
Causeless mercy has a cause.
So why I'm asking this is because I see a lot of many people around. So they watch us practicing Krishna consciousness since so many years, but they don't incline toward, they appreciate us doing this, but they don't want to do this or come into Krishna consciousness, or at least to chant one round of japa. So I was thinking, like, is Krishna's mercy is not still there with them, or so is it their free will which is obstructing the mercy, or what's going on like that?
Two people can see the same thing and see it in a different way. Based on, we call it karmatmika. Karmatmika means colored consciousness. According to the color of your consciousness, you see through that lens. So if you're appreciating it, they're appreciating it as something that is good, but doesn't mean I'm going to take it. I might appreciate a lot of things out there that are good, but I have my way. So that's how they think. That's nice, but still, it's not for me. I like the way what I do. because they don't really understand Krishna consciousness. You can't understand it it's not a spectator's evaluation program. You have to experience it before you can understand its benefit. You may understand how other people are benefited from it by seeing how peaceful they are, how happy they are, how kind they are. But they also see that some people will see that's good and maybe become attracted. Others will see that it's just, it's a nice thing, but it's just another thing in this material world that we can do. That's all. But they don't understand that it's the only thing, because Krishna consciousness means to solve all problems of life and elevate one to eternal life of knowledge and unlimited happiness. They won't be able to see that. Even if they read it, they can't see it. They have to actually do something to experience it. And then, even if they get a little bit of experience, because of they're so attached to their old ways, they don't go any farther.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, so that's why sadhu sangha, sarvasrastri. You have to associate with devotees before you can really understand this process. You don't associate with devotees, you will never really become really serious in this process. You'll just think it's a nice thing, but you may even appreciate it. But it's like diving into the water and staying on the surface instead of going deep and swimming. And if you're on the surface, then Maya just picks you off easy. It's like Prabhupada says, the smaller fishes, they swim towards the top, and the big fishes, they go to the bottom. Therefore, the big fishes, they last because no one can pick them off. They're too deep. So if we stay on the surface of Krishna consciousness and appreciate it and do something every once in a while, and then after some time, we'll just drift into something material. Because we're not getting that taste. The taste means you have to continue to make progress. If you don't continue to make progress in Krishna consciousness, you'll simply start going back to your own material ways again. Material energy works in such a way as to push you. It's pushing you towards birth, death, disease, and old age. You have to be pushing against that by staying fixed in devotional service. So it's not a part-time program. It may start off like that, but it has to increase. Otherwise, if it doesn't increase, it will decrease automatically.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, I like your point that where you said it's not a spectator thing. You have to experience it. So definitely, I can relate it to it. So once you experience it, then only you'll know the value of it and the taste you'll get. Yeah. Much Guru Maharaj. Yeah, thank you. I see 2 more hands raised. Guru Maharaj, is it okay if we continue?
I'm still here. I'm doing okay today.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you.
In other words, I'm still got some energy left.
So, Bhuvaneshwari Mataji, you want to go ahead? I'll go to Devanand Pandit Prabhu later.
Maharaj, mine is a very simple question. All glories to you. Dhanvat Pranam. Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, I wanted to ask you, because I come from a Hindu background, I have a lot of friends that worship demigods and demigoddesses. What if they leave prasad, saying that this is prasad? Should I eat it or not eat it?
Prasad of the demigods? Tell them no. I say, I only take Krishna Prashadam.
Right.
So tell them, if you want the best Prashadam, take only Krishna Prashadam, or, Prashadam of any of the deities that are of the Vishnu Tattva. The demigods are Jiva Tattva.
Right. Okay. Okay. So instead of being rude to them, I could just take it, but just give it to the birds or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. I just wanted clarification. Thank you very much. Dandvat Pranam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Devanand Pandit Prabhuji, you want to go ahead?
Hare Krishna. We all know the meaning of the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All auspicious, all joyful God, or energy of God, please engage me in the devotional service. And often we say phrase just Hare Krishna, 2 words. What is the meaning of the phrase Hare Krishna? What is the spiritual meaning of the Hare Krishna?
All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what it means.
Great. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Sri Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Krishna.
All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
That's it. Right to the point.
So I think before we close, I think we've had one more question. Sri Devi Mataji, you want to ask again? I think.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I'm glad Devanand Pandit asked this. Guru Maharaj, sometimes we are walking along the road, we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And just in the middle of the mantra, someone will come in front and they will greet you and say Hare Krishna. Now, what should you do? Should you greet that devotee back, or you should finish the whole Maha Mantra and then say Hare Krishna?
Boy, do whatever you think is best. Such a deep question. Do whatever you think is best.
Sorry, Guru Maharaj, I'm asking all
No,
silly.
do whatever you think is best. It's not like there's a shastric, principle about how to respond to that. Just do whatever you think is best. Yeah, just put it up on the counter. On that counter. You can leave it in the bag, and then I'll put it back in the bag when I'm done. Yes. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Any more questions or comments, dear devotees?
Sorry, Guru Maharaj. Away from you, I just get sillier by the day. I just have to be near you, then I'm straightened out properly.
Okay. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for participating. And thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for your wonderful association today with a nice question answer session today. Thank you, everyone. We'll all see you again tomorrow.
I thought Nishringa Leela had a statement in the chat. Did she?
No, she was posting about are you a Vaishnava? Like what is a Vaishnava? And she was posting about any article she read, and she was posting about that.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Okay.
you, Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay, thank you very much. And tomorrow is Ekadasi.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, so we'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're going to see on holy name. Guru Maharaj, you are going to speak on holy name. Or
Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow we'll speak on, something, the holy name or something related to the holy name.
okay, Guru Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much.
Thank
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Ho.
Thank you very much.